Yeah, getting enough dopamine. Being happy doing it.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like there are millions of cells out there in dishes at the moment that are being used for like drug experiments, right? And so what does it mean for these cells? You know, maybe they are better off if we put them into a game world.
That's actually a great question. So this like brain dish will also help us test how the brain responds under different drugs. What interests you about that? Like, I mean, that's just interesting, but like, is there anything in particular that you want to study with that?
Absolutely. That's like a huge like avenue of like research. So, you know, being a medical doctor, I have a fair share of like, you know, experience doing neurology, and actually it's fascinating. So a lot of the medications that affect the CNS, the central nervous system, things like anti-epileptics or antipsychotics or even antidepressants, right? There are so many different and it's very hard to know which one works best for a person. So the typical workflow is that, you know, as a anti-hepatologist, you kind of have a favorite kind of drug, and you try that one first on the person, and it's not a problem at all, because like, you know, they're all equally very equivalent. It's always a 1/3 or 1/4 chance that it's going to work straight off the bat. Sometimes as a patient, you might be lucky, and that first drug that you get is one that is very good and has very low side effects. If you're unlucky, you will have to go through 3 or 4 different ones before you get to that one. Now, what's fascinating is that we now have a system that has some sort of pseudo measure of cognitive capacity in a dish. There's a thinking that internally in the company, could we potentially say, you know, get some cell samples from, say, a donor like yourself?
Yes, and then grow their brain.
Yes,
that's very good.
Grow analog, like almost like a digital twin of yourself in a dish. And then rather than putting the medications on you and you suffering the side effects, we can put the medications on this dish.
Yeah.
That is technically you. And we can know, you know, is this a good drug or a bad drug to use?
That's so sick. What would the response be for like antidepressants? Like if you work well with antidepressants, what would that look like?
We don't know. Yeah. We don't know. It's a huge open question. Like, hey, we'll need to come up with a disease model firstly that says, you know, what we see in this environment is representative of depression or you know, any other sort of disease.
Maybe it doesn't want to play Pong.
Maybe just gives up like a first game. It's like, well, we'll just let it miss kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's more interesting, for instance, let's say like epilepsy, right? Which is you know, a lot of the drugs will cause depressive symptoms. You know, they make people very sluggish, low. They call it brain fog. What we really want to know, you know, is there a drug that will A, stop people from getting seizures, and B, not cause brain fog? And I think that is like, you know, a fascinating avenue, right? For instance, if we can actually try it in our system like this and save people 18, 24 months of like, you know, trial and error, it's going to be a huge win.